So yeah, no, pumped to get here. 90-minute flight, pretty easy. A little tricky up, but not too bad. And you're used to flights, obviously. I know I kind of from LA, well, from Green Bay originally, but in LA now, like, traveling a ton. Talk to me a little bit about how you found soccer and
Yeah.
what kind of led to your growth through that.
So, I grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Go Pack Go! And actually, my first sport and my first love was basketball. I'm a huge basketball player.
Nice.
My father played baseball, football, basketball, everything. So he kind of became my coach.
Sure.
And I grew up with the neighborhood boys. So that's kind of why I turned into like such a rough and tough type player. So if you ever watch me play, I slide tackle and love getting dirty. Um, so I grew up that where, we didn't have phones back then. So everyone's outside having a good time. And, I fell in love with basketball through my dad, and he was my coach. And then my brothers, they started playing soccer. They're both goalkeepers, 6'5",
Love it.
amazing goalkeepers. And, I remember it's so funny because everyone always asks how I got into it. And I actually started soccer late.
Interesting.
And I was around like 11, 12 years old, middle school, co-ed. And basically my mom's like, I signed you up and you're going out there. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like when I got there, I was like, I don't want to do this. And then I sat on the bench, majority of practice. And the coach was like, are you sure you don't want to? You sure you don't want to go out there and do it? I was like, fine, So I went out there and I just like nailed a boy, threw him on the ground, and I scored this amazing golazo. And my mom picks me up and she's like, how was that? I'm like, this is my sport. I love it. And then my career just kind of catapulted from there. I fell in love with the game and would practice. My dad would be our coach outside, and I'd be shooting on my brothers, running sprints. And I always played 2 years up and got into ODP. That was back in the day when
Sure.
ODP we were like the big thing. And
Well, pause for just a second. Talk to me about that. So ODP
yeah,
obviously is a huge thing.
yeah,
In that generation.
yeah,
And me as well. That was
yeah.
determined what was your path, but what your path was going to be, whether you were a good player or not. At the moment, it seems to be changing into academies, changing into different labels. How did you find, ODP to be the best, possible chance for you to get to the next level? And what would you tell, people, kids today, what would their route be potentially that's similar to that? Does that make sense as a question?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Everything it is, ever changing. And back then, in Wisconsin, everyone wouldn't look at that state as probably the most talented state. And I'll get into that too. And I talk about that when I'm going into the colleges I was like looking at and stuff. But I remember ODP was it, all the best players in the state were playing on that. I'm like, I have to make that team, and we would always be going down to Milwaukee. And so I remember going down there and I had an amazing tryout, but then I didn't get picked. And I was like, that was the first taste of defeat. And I was like so used to always beating everybody. And I was like, sure, why didn't I get picked? I scored so many goals, Dad. I was such a great team player. And all my other friends got chosen. Well, they ended up making a mistake. They thought they got the names mixed up or something. And I did make the roster. So then they finally brought me back down. And that's kind of where my career took off. And I went to regionals, and that's where I met my college coach, actually, my Purdue college coach. So
Stop for 1 second.
yeah.
We got to hammer in what a professional reaction
Yeah.
to that at such a young age, because you hear no, and so many kids, myself included, you hear that at that age, and you're like, ODP means everything.
Yeah.
I get a no. That's a sink or swim moment. Am I going to change the way I work? Am I going to really take this criticism to heart? Am I going to be a pro about it and handle it with respect?
Yeah.
It sounds like you did. Obviously, the play spoke for itself.
Mm-hmm.
You handle yourself with professionalism, and now you're where you're supposed to be. Like, I think that's a pretty prime example at a young age of somebody that, knows the game both on the field and off of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that was a kind of pivotal moment for me. And I remember sitting down with my dad, and he was just like the best cheerleader ever. Like, both my parents are amazing, but my dad was more, my mom wasn't the most sporty. So my dad was and I was the only girl in the family, daddy's little girl. So he sat me down and he was kind of like, look, you're a great player. Let's just fine tune some things. Let's keep training. You're going to get your chance. And when you get your chance, like, this is where you go all in. And things are going to happen because this is the one thing I remember my dad always saying to me, and it still rings true to how I mentor the youth, up and coming youth now, is like, someone is always watching.
Always.
You don't know where, when, how, why, whatever, but someone is always watching and has an eye on you. So I could be this young girl from Green Bay, Wisconsin, nobody knows about, and then I could be playing some Joe Schmo on the street and someone sees it and they're like, oh my gosh, who's this girl? And it was always ingrained in me, like, you're like, not from my family, but from other people who were like, "You're not gonna go accomplish anything. You're not gonna do anything. Nobody gets out of this state. No one does anything. No one's gonna watch you. No one cares about you. Like, you're not that good." And I'm like, then I put myself in a position to win. And so by doing that, I found the best team in the state, which was in Milwaukee, FC Milwaukee Nationals, it was called back then.
I know.
FC Milwaukee Nationals, yeah, they were like the team to be on. And that's where like Leslie Osborne, I don't know if you're familiar with Leslie Osborne, played for the U.S. Women's National Team. That's where the players were going to really like get better, because my coaches in Green Bay were like, "Lauren, I don't know what to do with you. Like, you're just outplaying everybody." I was playing 2-3 years up. I just wasn't getting better, and I wanted to be better, you know?
That's the key, right? The self-drive has to be there naturally.
Yeah.
And it obviously was. So you found another path, you found the team, and I'm assuming you're driving a little bit to get there?
Yeah, bless my parents' heart. They would drive me 2-3 hours to and from practice every single day from high school. That's why I really didn't have, kind of a life in high school, but that's okay. I was fine with that. I kind of had my path, and, everything else was just a distraction for me, and I didn't want to get into trouble. And soccer was my passion, my happy place. And so everyone on our team went D1.
Yeah.
I remember that was another thing of rejection, was going through the process of figuring out what school I wanted to go to. And at the time I was a number 9, and then as I went on with my career and joined the national team, I became a defender, and I think I was always meant to be a defender. But at that point, I remember I was going in for an official visit into Madison, Wisconsin, and that was like Big Ten would like fit my bill, fit the style of play that I wanted to play. I was rough and tough and super aggressive, and I was like, I'm gonna play here. Like, this team's awesome. This school is awesome.
Feel it as soon as you step off
Yeah.
practice field for a visit, or you're with your parents, you're just walking on the campus. You're like, I could feel it here for sure.
And I remember being with 2 of my teammates who were ballers, and I remember the coach goes to them like, Lauren, we're probably gonna offer them scholarships, but not you. And they're like, there's just not really much talent here in Wisconsin, and I just don't think like you fit the mold here as a Badger. And I was like, you've never even come and watch our team play.
That's so interesting.
So
Yeah.
I wrote to him and I said, look, if that's what you think, like, come watch these tournaments and see.
Yeah.
Our team balled out. We beat like everybody. He calls me. I'd already committed to Purdue because I met Coach Claudy at ODP camp, and I just thought he was the best. He was so positive. He was so uplifting. He, I wanted to learn from him. I was hungry to learn from him. And I had liked my official visit to Purdue, but I really wanted to stay close to home, And so then I remember him coming and watching me. He kept calling and calling and calling. He said, no, you can't. I had already verbally committed to Purdue. He's like, no, you're coming to Wisconsin. And I was like, you had your chance.
Correct.
Like, there's so much talent in the state that nobody even knows about. And that's on you. Like, you are a coach in this state. You should be watching these players.
Literally, your job is to recruit here.
Yeah.
That's not the whole point, but it's a pretty big part of your job. And if you don't know who's good here, you're not doing your job.
Exactly. And so then I go to Purdue, and we beat them every single time we played against them, and I scored against them.
And how good does that feel?
And I was like,
It's the greatest feeling in the world, right?
He's like, I messed up with you. I was like,
I've got a very similar story. Similar to what you're talking about. You don't know who's watching.
Yeah.
I was the same type of kid. I was a forward, 14, 15 years old, changing to a goalkeeper. I was hopping the fence at high school to go to the stadium by myself, taking a bag of balls after middle school. The assistant coach in high school comes up to me and is like, hey, you can't do that. I love that you're doing it. It's violation. Go to Porter, go to this, private stove up here. But he sees that. He sees me bringing a ball to school. I'm that weird kid dribbler, that kind of kid. Fast forward 3-4 years, he's still the assistant coach. He's the one that head coaches here. Hey, he needs to be starting. You're making a huge mistake.
Yeah.
I go All State next season. Go to Wake Forest. Same type of situation as you.
Baller went to Wake Forest.
I had to throw that out. I have to go deep, steady. But it's similar to you. You walk onto that campus, and if I don't go here, my dream's over. I have to go here. I meet Coach Vidovich, who's a different human being. Just ice blue eyes. You can never tell what he's thinking, and then he shows the game in such a different way, to where it's like, this is becoming a chess match. This isn't soccer and athletic. This is puzzle pieces and formations and strategy now. And you start to learn the game a little bit more, and it goes quicker. And then you look at the people like Akron, who I'm from Ohio, passed up on me, big type of program. You beat them 2-1 at their place. You beat them 2-0 at home, saving penalties, doing your thing, and you let them know. You missed. You missed. And that's
Let them know.
that's fine because you didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
And for junior, senior year to find out, and that's fine. You're going to wait in junior, senior college and find out a different way. It's very, very similar to your story, but I wouldn't change any of it. I don't think you would either. I think that level of rejection at that point is necessary. I think in hindsight, you don't want to admit that it was necessary because then you're going through it. It's like, wow, like this hurts. When ODP passes up on you or when someone passes, like, man, that sucks. That sucks. And then you change back and become the person that you are now. So taking through your college career, more of those goals, obviously, and what motivated you to kind of go to the next level after that?
Yeah. So I go into college, best experience of my life.
Real quick question on that. Whether was it just Purdue and Wisconsin that you're kind of choosing between, or were there other ones that were kind of?
There was a couple other ones, but the thing is, and this is another thing that I feel it's like really important to touch on. I had no mentorship. I had no one helping me with the journey like back then, like we do now, right? I had nobody knew what to do with me. My parents were like, oh, I'm not a soccer player. I don't know what to do with you. We've never done this whole process. And the people that were giving advice were just shisty, not good people.
You hear an accent, you think they're right.
Yeah, you think they're right, and they just want you to spend money, and they do absolutely nothing for me. So what I did and what I tell, the people that like I mentor now, I said, you're your biggest advocate, right? The one person that knows you is you, and the one person that's going to fight for you is you. So what I did is I made a list of all the colleges that I wanted to go to. At the time, it still was like, I don't really know. I wanted to stay close, but yet far enough away because I wanted my parents to be able to come.
Sure.
So I wrote to all these schools. I was like, this is who I am. These are my strengths. I'm a lefty. Got to throw that in there because I also like the lefties. And then I was like, this is my calendar. Come watch me play. And I was like, I didn't know if anything was going to hit. And I also did that with the national team.
Very important thing. Are you the one driving that email?
Yep.
Or your parents?
I did everything. I did everything.
That's the key. Because parents...
It's authentic.
Parents they know the route. They know that you're supposed to do that. But if you as the kid, you as the player don't take, accountability at a certain age group, it's going to pass you. And that you're obviously... Yeah. And this is my dream, putting both hands. I'm going to get this. Like, I have to have it. And I'm going to make sure that no one can take it away from me.
But also nowadays, like, it's younger and younger that want to go play pro. And I had this conversation with a girl yesterday. She was only 13. She's like, this coach is telling me to go play. I was like, be kid. Like, are you really ready for that step? And it's like, if you're not writing your own emails, if you're not doing this, you're not ready to go into the pros because it is not an easy path. It is a very lonely path, and it is a very hard, mentally draining path.
How many people... both on the male and female side, go pro too early, wash out, and don't make it? I talk to so many MLS players now that skip college to try and go to the pros, and all they tell me is the MLS is for pros. You're not developing in the MLS. You're developing in college. You're developing in academy. You want that big name to say, hey, I signed a contract so you can go like show your friends, oh, I'm a pro. 2 years later, you're washing out because you didn't develop to actually become that pro.
And also, NIL people, go make some money.
Exactly. That's staging now too. What's going on?
Make some friends, make some money, get those studies in because you never know what's going to happen. And if you don't like it, then you can leave.
Exactly.
But let the older players throw you around a little bit and see if you're ready for the pros. But, I am all for people going to college and experiencing life. And some of my best friends are from college, and, I learned so much. And I have a great relationship with Purdue University. I was just inducted in the Hall of Fame, which was incredible. I still have thank you. I still have 6 records there. So I'm using that as being like a role model. So I still go back and I talk to, the young generation, the people who are playing right now, and I kind of help them with their pathway into the pros after that. So, sure. I love that I chose Purdue, and I mean, they're a force to be reckoned with. They're a great team. We were always 1-2. We were top 10 when we were there. People don't know that about us. We were top 10. We were ballers. Our squad was ballers, and Coach Claudia did such a great job with us. I learned so much about the game from him. And I took that into what was next. So
the college soccer landscape, in my opinion, is very similar to the MLS as well, and different from college football and other sports in America as well. Is it changes year to year? Who's great? There are very few programs that are just naturally always going to be great. So to your point, you need to be looking at these college coaches and what they bring to the table very strategically. Not, hey, you're Stanford, they've got 5 now, 4 after check, whatever it is. So I'm going to go here instead of, I mean, he's Jimmy Gutfield coach, and their current coaching staff is fantastic. But identifying who's going to take the time to develop me, and whether or not they know what they're doing.
Exactly.
And I think that's so important. You look at the smaller schools right now that are coming on, it's like, well, because they've recruited correctly. It's because all of the players in Wisconsin that all your coaches are missing, they're paying attention to.
Yeah. And also they pick somebody who cares about you as a human, as a person. That's going to really help you develop in both on the field and off the field. And I think that's so important. And that's part of the reason, like, why I'm so indebted to like Coach Claudia, and then like going into the national team with Coach Herdman and stuff. They really knew how to talk to us as players, you know?
Yeah.
You know, they were harder on us when they needed to be, but you know, they were honest. They were uplifting. You know, they made us feel powerful when we stepped onto the field. They didn't diminish our light. And I think that's like something that a lot of this coaches, when I see nowadays, is like they're making players not want to play anymore. And it's like really sad to me.
They put such an ego on their team as to like, oh, this is my identity that I build here. And it is becoming robotic. You hear people like Thierry Henry and other people higher level in the sport being like, hey, I'm a fan, but I'm bored. Like, I'm tired of watching the tiki-taka. I mean, tiki-taka, beautiful for sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, get some expression. Bring Brazilian football back. Bring samba. Bring that back. So exactly, we need it. And I think it will shift. It's very, cyclical in this sense, right? You want success, you're going to be a little more strategic, a little more scientific, and then we all get bored, so you bring in a Neymar when we're the next generation of that. So it's going to come back, but to your point, I think the players need to drive that a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
So from college, obviously, you've taken on full accountability of this dream. There's now the added, student athlete, having a life outside of it. Similar to you, growing up, I was driving 2 hours to and from training. So I had no real distractions in high school, but you go to college, it's a little bit easier. How do you handle the outside distractions, balance your studies, be a good human, but also making sure that the reason you're there doesn't drop?
I think what was great too at Purdue is I don't know if they had this at Wake Forest, but they had a class that kind of taught you how to work on teamwork, but also like working on your schedule and working on, just the time commitments and the work-life balance of life. And, I really took that and really made sure, like, I'm always like a to-do lister, a planner. Like I need to know what I'm doing. Okay, 5 a.m. training. Okay, then I go to class all day.
The minute. Right?
Yeah, so I feel like that's what it takes to get to the next level, right? Is that and we also had study tables, which I think was great. So you're there, working or flirting with everybody, whatever people are doing. Those, let's just call it the football players that never actually did their homework.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
calling out the team specifically.
Or ask us to do their homework for them. But those were the days.
Did you do it?
No. I said, boys, like, no, I'm not gonna hold your hand through this. You can study.
Fair enough.
But those were the good old days, and they always made sure we got our work done. I wasn't much of a partier, I have to say. I kind of look back and I'm like, maybe I should have like enjoyed life just a little bit more. But I was always like the mom on the team. I don't really know how I got that, but I was never like a big drinker. There's nothing wrong with that. It just wasn't how I was. I still knew how to have fun. I can dance, let me tell you. People think, I was drinking half the time anyways, and I was just like having a good time,
Was the dancers coming?
Yeah, I bring the vibes everywhere I go. But I just made sure, all my teammates were taken care of. And I guess I saw myself, I wanted to build a business and I wanted to be a professional. I just had like so many dreams, and I wanted to make sure I didn't do anything that was going to like hurt those dreams.
You're speaking to the choir.
Yeah.
I was the same way. I walk on at Wake Forest, was not supposed to be the guy, and you start to actually play well and say, it's like, I don't want to lose this for something stupid. Like, I don't want to make a mistake and like have this be disappear at the last second.
Yeah.
So similar to yourself, like I partook, I fought, for sure, but it's also
You have to
like
enjoy.
Let me make sure that I'm still getting to the next level
as
best I possibly can. So always had one eye on that next step.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, like I always knew what my vision was going to be as a player and off the field as well too. So
sure.
And then I was always like, okay, is there going to be a pro league when I retire, or when I get out, not retire, but when I get out of college? And
that's a big deal though. Like, what opportunities do I really have after the game? And they're growing, obviously, at a massive rate, hopefully, and then you continue to grow.
I didn't even think about like Europe and all, because I didn't really know what to do, and I didn't really have anybody. Like Coach Claudia would talk to me about it, but like we never really like thought like, oh, I could go over to Europe, I could do these things. And at the time, it was WUSA, Mia Hamm's era, and it folded right when I came out of college. And then I was kind of like, okay, what do I do with my life now? I went to go work corporate.
So, I get it though. That thing is like you're giving up what you love to do something that, I mean, chances are you probably don't.
Let me. To be fair, I was making good money, and my dad was very happy. Shout out Ernie. He still wishes I would go back to that. And I was making good money, but I was so unhappy. I like in my free time, I would go run sprints. I would go do agility. I was playing semi-pro without them knowing.
Yeah. You're wired that way.
Yeah, I'm such a wired because I was like, Dad, if I don't do it, I'm gonna regret it. And he was like, Lauren, don't leave your job for no money. But I was like, just let me try it. And I remember back then they had a combine. Now they're bringing back the combines, which I think is a very good idea.
Yeah.
I don't like the whole like drafting from college thing because so many players get overlooked. So they're bringing back the combine this year. But back then we had a combine, and I went out and just like crushed it. And then
It seemed like that's a pretty big thing for you.
Yeah.
If you go out to big events like this and dominate. For me, I had that success.
Yeah.
For me, it was also like I have to go through like visualization.
Probably 100%.
Then I get my mind right. Especially as a goalkeeper, you make a mistake.
That's their initial greed though. Right to see my this.
Defender though as well. Like you make mistakes,
Yeah.
it's still on you. So like that type of pressure, how do you handle it? Because like for me, it was like mentally at a time, and it would look like I'm not under pressure, but the whole time I felt it. Did you?
Well, before I was a number 9, so I was like, scarring glasses. I don't got to come back. Although I was a number 9 that came back on defense.
Those don't.
But
as a
actually,
goalkeeper,
can I say something though?
Sure.
Because I did that, this is why it was so easy for me to transition, and because I was a basketball player, and that is why I say play multiple sports, because basketball helped me transition into the next phase of my career. And yeah, so I don't know where I was going with that, but I was the visualization. Yes. Sorry, I've been hitting the head a lot of concussions.
Aggressive defender.
Yeah. I didn't really understand the whole visualization things. We didn't do much of it in college.
Sure.
I just knew what worked for me, like stepping onto the field. I was listening to the classical. I'm a weirdo. I listened to classical music.
I get it.
And kind of get in the zone. And then I switched to like, R&B rap. And then I'm like, okay, let's go. And I dance. And, the way I get ready for things is dancing, because it just lets me get the nerves out.
Yeah.
And as I said, you have to believe in yourself. That's like the biggest thing, because I'm like, nobody knows me here. I went to like my school was big, but I went to a smaller school. It's not the UNC girls. It's not the Florida State girls that are out here, where everyone's going to get picked, because those are the girls that usually get picked first.
Sure.
I have nothing to lose. All I remember is just knocking people, hustling, and calling for the ball. And this is what I say. I may not have been the best player out there, but I was a workhorse. And that is what catapulted me through my career. I was always a person that was like, when I lost the ball, I want it right back,
Reactions.
Yeah, I was always asking for the ball, and I was aggressive. And I always say that to these players that are going into camps, combines, whatever it may be. I say, even if you're not the most technical, even if you're not the fastest, even if you're not the best in the air, it doesn't matter. These coaches want to see workhorses. They want to see people who don't quit, and they want people who want the ball. And that's the biggest thing. So I went in there. I was like, whatever happens, happens. And then I remember sitting on my parents' bed when they were doing the draft, because they didn't ask people to go to the draft at that time, like back in the day. I got drafted right before Brandy Chastain, who obviously I've looked up to like my whole entire, the 99ers, right? That's my legend. And I was like, I started screaming. My parents were like, what's going on? I was like, I just got drafted. Like, it was the coolest thing ever, but I had no one to share that moment with. And I just wanted to like tell everybody, but it was like social media wasn't that bit, like, there wasn't anywhere to like, and I was like, I started bawling because I was like, nobody thought I was a mirror, and I'm here doing it,
It's a culmination of 20 years, 25 years that no one else has seen outside of maybe your parents and your brothers. But realistically, everyone also had an opinion on it.
Yeah.
You're never going to make this happen.
Yeah.
And that little moment, you don't even have to rub it in anyone's face. It's just that for yourself. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, I made it type thing. I'm assuming that's what it felt like.
It did. But then I was like, now this is where the real work starts, because let me tell you, just as much as it's given to you, can be taken away from you like that. And I've seen it happen with people who've gotten drafted. They didn't put the work in. They came into preseason. They didn't listen. They were playing so individualistic. And I said, this is the pros. It is a different game. And if you cannot hang, you're going to get in debt.
And it's not even just that. It's so my story again, injuries are going to come
Injuries.
take them away. Like I
That's
my drafts, I got drafted with my knee in a cast on a couch in college house, and my mom with a next room, like sitting there being like, that's just her and I, like on a laptop, and they're sitting there like, to your point, this is the greatest moment of my life so far.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like, now what? Now,
Yep.
am I actually going to translate over into, making this a thing?
Yeah.
And like you say, like the real work starts then.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to celebrate that moment and take that celebration, right? 25 years of that, like,
Yeah.
you need to acknowledge the greatness in it. But also, to your point, now money's involved. Money being involved in the game that you love.
What is money for you? $500 a month, my first pro contract. Thank you very much.
I was on USL for a little bit, and that was about.
And I think you still were making more money than we are.
Barely, but I mean, I'm also working a different job. Like, I'm not making good money either.
Yeah.
Like, real, but I do know the equal pay for sure needs to continue to grow, basically, as the opportunities need to as well for women as well. It truly is, but there's a lot more.
There's a lot.
Anyway, yeah. Where was I going with that?
Yeah, sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're kidding.
No, you were talking about because you were sitting on the couch with your mom.
Just that moment of acknowledging the work being done and accomplishing that, but at the same time, you haven't made it. Like the draft, getting drafted, you're invited to a tryout.
Yeah.
Realistically, you were invited to go try out, and they may offer you something. And realistically, I know the money's probably a little bit more than NWSL, but it's not good money. Like, you're not supporting your family and buying a Porsche the first day.
Yeah.
So you have to go work your ass.
Oh, you did the second day? No. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. For like one day, I leased it for one day, I get it right back. Yeah. I drove Uber for it. That's about it.
There you go.
But it's just you, to the point. The work starts then.
Yeah.
And so many people don't do it. They stop the habits that got them there, and they want to go on selfies and before games or whatever. You look at someone like Roy Keane.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine him in today's world with selfies and the type of bananas that are going on before games? That needs to change, in my opinion. And
I agree with you.
Like, a culture is, I get it, it's fun, but you need to actually put the effort in and continue to grow.
I mean, I've seen so many players, and you see on Instagram all these people like showboating, doing all these things. But like, let me ask you something: are you watching the game? This is the biggest thing with a lot of these players, and I played with so many players that have getting drafted and all that. When they step on the pitch, they're out of position, and I'm like, "Do you watch soccer?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "What are you doing? If you want to be an all-encompass pro athlete, like if you want to be the ultimate best, you need to be doing everything." And one of the biggest things is watching and learning the game.
I could not agree with that more. Little piece of advice for aspiring players out there: pick one player that you love that plays like you, and watch him or her every single weekend, and then say, "I'm going to play like that." For me, I know he's one of the greatest right now, so it's a little aggressive. Alisson Becker from Liverpool is who I played like, candidly, and I wanted to be.
I love her.
That type of goal. That's my guy.
Yeah.
He's just reads the game perfectly. To your point, do you watch soccer? It's not athletic for him. He is athletic as hell, but it's, I know where you're going. I know where he is. I know where the second shot. But that's you.
This is the thing.
Okay.
Is when
It's intuitive. It's intuitive.
It's intuitive, and this is the thing. When I got switched to the defensive role, so when I went into national camp for the first time, this is when John Herdman kind of took over, and the team had just lost. It was like the World Cup. It was 2011, and they wanted to kind of redo the whole team, and that's when they got rid of the Italian coaches, brought in John, and he completely revamped. No matter what people think of him now, of everything that's happened, like, I owe so much to that man, and so do a lot of the players that played for him. And like, he was by far the best coach I've ever played with, and he brought me in. I had been writing to Canada for like years. I'm like, pick me, bring me into camp.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Before we get into how did you like make a transition? I want to go to your college to pro transition. We'll go back to that. But the decision between Canada and obviously you have a U.S. tie here as well. What was that decision process like for you?
So my father's Canadian. He was born in Newfoundland. My grandparents came from Germany to Canada. My dad was born and raised there. And I'm from Wisconsin, so I pretty much feel Canadian. I mean, we're like the same. We eat cheese curds, poutine, everything. And also, like, we would spend our summers in Canada. Like, we'd go camping and all that stuff. And so everyone's always like, how did you become Canadian? You're not Canadian. I'm like, I'm both. And, I am. Plain and simple. I am, okay? And I'm a dual, and I love it. And So I played, and I was like, everyone's always like, why did you pick USA over Canada? I'm like, look, people always want to have this conversation. It's like, why did you go play for that country? Why did she go do this and all that? I'm like, first of all, you go where the opportunity is. Second of all, like playing for Canada was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Correct.
You know? And if it would have been USA, if it would have been whatever, I don't know if it would have had the same path, but Canada, I think all the stars were aligned and everything. It just was right for me. And I had been reaching out to them and I was like, hey, watch me in the pros. I wasn't playing in the pros at the time because I played like 1 minute my first year. And then I was like, what is someone going to give me my chance? And that's like another thing. There was another coach, Carly Lloyd's coach, James Galanis, who, when I was on Atlanta, that league only lasted for 3 years. The WPS only lasted for 3 years. But when James was there, we had Carly, Hope, Heather Mitz. Like our team was Lloyd Klepny. Like our team was stacked. And I was still forward at the time. I remember Hope like pulling me aside and it's like, she's like, you're gonna get your chance. You're gonna get your chance. Like Hope solo believing in you. It was like, okay, cool, you know?
Yeah.
And James was like, you should be a defender. Like he played me. I remember him, and this goes back to what we were talking about before. He was like, we had so many superstars on our teams, Ramona Bopp and all these players, but he was like, I'm gonna give Sess an opportunity to start. And everyone's like looking at me because like our team was baller. I was not a baller like them. Like I was good, but I was not to that level. As a number 9, I wasn't fast enough. I wasn't like what you needed to be in the pros is number 9.
And you like do it in your mode. But so going into that game, knowing that, how do you mentally prepare for that game before you go on? Sorry,
Well,
like that. That's
no, what he said to me, he in front of everybody, he was like, I'm giving Sess the opportunity to start because she's the biggest workhorse here.
Oh.
She never gives up. And she's always, you know, doing extra reps at the end of practice. And she may not be the most, he said this to everybody. He's like, she may not be the most talented, but she works very hard. So I'm going to give her an opportunity. And from there, he gave me my opportunity. I started playing Canada, saw that. And I finally got the opportunity to go into camp. And yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I didn't play a lot, but just enough for them to be like, okay, we have a Canadian in the league. Let's bring her in. A new whatever. So I go into camp. First day, I'm like, first of all, I'm looking at Christine Sink play like this. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Sinky, it's Sinky, it's Sinky, it's Sinky, you know? And she's like, hey, I'm Sinky. Like, she's the coolest. Like, I love the girls on my team. Amazing. I love every single one of them. Coach pulls me aside and he's like, you have a lot of forwards. He's like, so you're probably not going to play. He's like, but you're tall, you're really good in the air, and you're left-footed. We need a left back. What do you think about that? I was like, oh, and sorry, I was like, shh. Like, I've never played defense in my life. I don't know what I'm doing. But you know what? I didn't say that. I said, yeah, coach. Yeah.
that's the right answer.
Puts me in at practice. I drive the ball up, score upper 90 in practice. He looks at me and he's like,
Welcome to the team.
and then 2 days later, I was starting against the USA.
Shocker.
And I was a starter.
Stop
Day one.
We're skipping over how important that, like, you've spoken into existence.
Yeah.
Candidly, like if you listen to the story, it's I'm not playing maybe but 1 minute in the pros, but hey,
I was cut like multiple times.
Right. That's my point. Like you're sitting here living that lifestyle, not knowing when it's going to come and still knocking on the door, and then you bust the door open. Like if one of those, like, I am going to make this dream a reality, and it's going to happen. I don't care what the pathway is.
I got to tell you something funny because my first coach, I got drafted to Chicago, was Emma Hayes.
Okay.
Like where she's at now. So just remember that. And I remember we were training and they were only doing the starting 11. And then I got traded to another team and we won the championship that year. I played 1 minute. 1 minute. Then I went to Atlanta where I didn't play at all. Then the third year, the coach was like, hey, you know, St. Louis is disbanding. We need to bring in all these players. We're going to cut your contract. I had finally got like not one of those like reserve contracts. I made a contract and I was like, I'm one of the 18. And he's like, he sits me down. He's like, you're really not good at anything. You're not strong. You're not. I was like, this one of the strongest on the team. I don't know what he was watching. He's like, you're not strong. You're not fast. You're not tech. He literally crushed me in that. And I sat there and I was like, cool. You completely like just like anything I thought about myself out the window, you know, like
Sure.
Every ounce of confidence gone. So I go to him. I didn't have an agent. I didn't know what I was doing, but I go to him. I said, look, if this is how you feel. That's fine. Bring these girls in. I'll work for it. Just let me practice with you until I figure out my next moves. I don't have anywhere to go. I don't know what I'm doing. And usually they wouldn't let that happen, but it was like, we need a practice player. Fine, Lauren, you can.
It wouldn't let that happen because no one has the
Yeah.
courage to ask,
Yeah.
to say it. Like, because you're, again, saying, this is my thing. I don't care what you have to say. Let me work so I can be better. And let me then prove you wrong later on. Again, that's such a big part of this story. It's like, it's important.
But listen what happened.
Oh, God.
So, okay, so I'm cut. I'm cut from the team. I have no contract. I have no nothing. Nowhere to go. Like, just clothes, cleats, whatever. Like, I don't know what's going on with my life right now. I'm like crying to my dad. I'm like, I'm done. I go to the coach. I'm like, okay, cool. Can I just train until I find a new team? Because like, I can't lose my fitness. I need to be in this environment. You have these girls coming in. I want to be around them. Like, whatever. Next day, I was so angry. I went out there and I scored like so many goals. He pulls me aside and he's like, what was that? I was like, you never give me an opportunity. Like, you haven't even put me on the field. How do you know what I can do? Okay. He's like, I'm giving you your contract back. The next day, but
Yeah.
And I was like, you said that there wasn't any contracts left. You lied.
Yeah.
Basically in my mind. But I was like, okay, cool. Contract backs. They fired him. So much.
Yep.
Just so
Coachy change.
yeah, just
coaches.
that's where James comes in.
Yep.
Carly's coach at the time. Best human ever. Completely changed everyone's mind, confidence level, uplifted us all. And then that is when I got noticed by Canada because he was giving me opportunities. And I have to give the man his glory and stuff because let me be honest, without him and all these things happening, it just gave me like so much fuel to the fire to like go out when I went to Canada as like, I'm taking this and running with it.
So what you're talking about is basically coaches make the absolute difference in both deals, in both ways. They can absolutely hinder you and they can absolutely push you forward to the next level. And it's not just, hey, make sure as a goalkeeper you take a step forward and dive. It's not technical strategy.
Yeah.
It's player management, but to your point, it's human management.
Yeah.
One of the best coaches I've ever had, my mom met working at an airport, and he was a baggage handler part-time so he could travel. He's a crazy Romanian guy, crushes it outside of that.
The Romanians are amazing.
Unreal. And he taught me how to be a goalkeeper in his backyard. Like literally just sand pit, medicine balls, all of this stuff, but it's good teaching. Like it's good reps. And on top of that, the confidence that's instilled, hey, like you could do this. Like that whole belief system stems from coaches to an extent. It starts from coaches realistically, because as a player, you're questioning, you're testing, do I believe in myself or not?
Yeah.
And if that person is going to push you forward in a healthy way, it makes everything easier. It makes you train better. It makes you play better. It makes the transition from being a number 9 to the left back way easier mentally, right? Like I'm not saying he was the one that did that, but it's also you'll do whatever it takes to get on that field because you trust that they're correct.
And going off of what you just said, I remember when I did make that transition to defense, I remember John making a video of me from trainings or games or friendlies or whatever of me to like slide tackling or winning balls, like all positive stuff. And he shows this to me before we go to like the Pan American Games, London Olympics, all this. He always had a video of us. And he's like, this is who you are. This is what you do when you step onto the field. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm good.
Goosebumps.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm good. Like, that's the difference between a good coach and a bad coach, right?
Correct.
You could have had the worst week of training, but this man still shows you all the positive highlights, right? And so it was just a different breed. And look what happened. We won a gold medal. It's like 2 months later in the Pan American Games, like crushing everybody. Then we went into 2012 Olympics. Should have been in the gold medal match, but that is a whole nother story. To that ref that had to go to court.
Oh, we remember those.
Yeah.
Those refs.
You know what? I'll take my medal still. And then we have the bronze, and then 2016 and all this, and the.
I would have thought in all three of those like directly with the story, but tell me more about like why he's the one that I think drives the shit. Because I think what really makes a great coach is he's making it about you.
Yeah.
He's not making it about his brand of football. Like you look at some of them where it's like it has to be Eric Ten Hag, for example. He needs the everything to be about his style of play instead of the actual player. So what is that particular coach doing differently for you, either on and off or off the field?
I think he was just one of the most like prepared coaches I had ever met. Like his attention to detail was like insane. And
Did he play? Let me ask you that. Like, he played growing up, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Like, he
yeah, he grew up in Newcastle,
Yeah.
and then he was coaching at New Zealand, and yeah, he was a baller.
Got it.
But I mean, he understood the game, but just the way he coached is just like, was just like another level. I can't even explain it unless you're like in
You have to be
this
part of that locker room.
Yeah, like you step into a meeting and you're like, we are the shit. Yeah, like go Canada. I mean, under his, you know, under his hand, like we literally changed
100%.
Canadian soccer. And that's will always go down in history. Like people still write to us to say like you are part of history.
Legacy on it.
Legacy. And we're in the Hall of Fame for it. And it's just really, really special. But he would just have like notes, and then we would sit and we would analyze game film on like some of our favorite players against the opposing coaches, and then we would analyze our own footage of what did we do wrong here. But he never told us what we did wrong. We had to tell him what we did wrong, because him telling us, yeah, we need to be able to see what we're doing wrong in situations. And I think that's another big thing. He wasn't just telling us. It was like, no, you figure it out.
He's creating 11 coaches on the field that are working cohesively. He doesn't need to deliver messages because you already know them. If you watch Miracle, it's a
Great
very quick montage. It's great. Very quick montage. Coach Kurt Russell is writing things on the board, in the hockey board. He's like, hey, so what's that give us? Like, what does this formation give us? No one answers the phone, or no one answers anything.
Yeah.
30 seconds later, writes the same thing down. What does that give us? Everyone in unison says that gives us options, coach.
Exactly.
Everybody knows what their assignment is. Everyone is going to do their job to 110% of their ability. That is the best team that there is. If you don't know what that is, I can't be great. If you're still trying to figure out what a left back does as a number 9, you're not going to be great.
And you nailed it on the head, because this is what I told some young players the other day, is knowing what your teammates are doing around you, knowing what each position brings to the table, and understanding how their style of play is the most important thing. It's not just me as a left back. I need to know what my center back is, my 6 is doing, my winger, all of that, because that's how I learn how to play off of them.
Correct.
And they're not coaching kids this way, and it's so important.
So I played every single position on the field.
Yeah.
And that meant, as an outside mid, I know you're dead tired at this point. So maybe I won't give you the ball right now. Maybe I'm going to find somebody else because you're not ready for this. You said you play basketball. LeBron is, I think, one of the best in the game today at this, where he's got people on other podcasts saying he is a different animal. He knows where this person is, where that person is, where I'm going to go next. Luke Kuechly is another phenomenal example, linebacker for the Panthers, or used to be. He studied the game so much. He was calling out 40% of the other team's plays because he knew it ahead of time. The preparation ahead of time, and then the belief in it obviously shows.
But then that's also how I became a good defender, is because I knew what that person was going to do before they did it. Is I studied players like the back of my hand. I was not fast. I was quick.
You were smart too.
And I was smart because I knew how to read it from playing basketball. I just kind of stepped into that role because I was always at the top of the key when I played basketball, and then I got transitioned to a number 4. And I was just really aggressive, so I knew how to use my body.
For sure.
And I knew how to read the hips. I knew how to read the ball, and I knew exactly what their next move was going to be. And also, I could see when someone, if you're a center back, and then when I get transitioned to the center back, you are the leader on the team. You can see when someone's going to cross the ball. So it's like your body position is already ready before it happens.
So look at what you're doing. Like, it's originally as a younger player, you're like, okay, I need to know where the ball needs to go.
Yeah.
And now it's, like I said, become strategic. It's, I'm reading where his foot is or where her body position is. Like, everything that you're looking at changes because you know what to look for. And then what happens is the game slows down. I'm assuming that happened for you. Like, for me as a goalkeeper, I could see all of that happening. I knew exactly where he's going. There was one moment in time I saw somebody shoot. In my head, I made the save, and in my head, I'm like, because of the way he shot, he takes penalties, he goes this way. Save the penalty, that same kid going that way. You start to see all of those underlying things in the game, and it changes you as a player. That, I think, is what makes somebody great, not finding the perfect pass every time.
I agree. And so, like, when people are always and they're just stressing on, like, the technical part of the game, I was like, you don't have to do fancy moves. You don't have to do that. It's just the little things, the little moments that you need to learn as a player, no matter what position you're playing.
Finding the right foot.
Yeah.
The first touch being perfect every time.
Yeah.
Needs to happen. So tell me a little bit more about, like, now we've I guess, dove in on the minute, the granular level of the game. You're going into these Olympics, you're going into the Pan Am Games, you're going into all these places, and now you're not playing, Wisconsin or Indy,
Yeah.
at Big Ten schools, you're playing countries. And
Yeah.
that changes things a little bit. Not only that, I say this with different. I say this with the best intentions. Not everyone is watching college soccer.
Yeah.
There is a bigger audience that is on you at all times
Oh, yeah.
now as you're representing your own nation. So how you handle that kind of moving forward, because it's a continuous progression. You go from just playing as a kid into college where you're on balancing studies and now a pro handling a lot more.
Let me tell you, you fans are brutal. Brutal.
They scan up.
Like, look, there was like, you're an athlete, you should take it. Okay, there's only so much like that's appropriate. Like,
For sure.
the attack on someone's character or death threats or whatever, those things. Look, you can analyze my game all day long. Yes, I probably already know that I messed up there. I did this, but like,
You're human.
when you're going in on someone and being like, just like attacking them. I remember when I fell in the World Cup. I used to be able not to talk about that without crying, but like I fell and I slipped because first of all, we shouldn't have been playing on turf. So this whole turf debate with the NFL and the next World Cup coming up, like you guys don't even know. 2015 we played on turf was a big ordeal.
I agree.
They watered the turf. Everybody was slipping everywhere. If you watch every single game, but who gets attacked first? Goalkeepers and defenders, right? Someone passed me the ball back. I completely slipped, wiped out. We got scored on. Should have never even took place in the first place. We lost in the quarters to England. Okay. Obviously, it's a team effort. We're playing in our home country, Canada. I got ripped apart. And it was the hardest moment of my life where I spiraled into this deep depression, almost committed suicide. That's a whole thing. It was a big thing that I talk about a lot now.
Sure.
But I went from being like having a goal line save at the Olympics and being like, oh, she's one of the best defenders in the world, to being like my whole entire career being like diminished to, oh, she slipped and she fell and we got scored on. And it's all her fault. No, we also missed like 10 wide open shots that we could have scored.
Naturally.
It's a team effort regardless, but like the fans were like, I'm going to kill you. Like I had to have security on the street. Like, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to do this, and this, you. And like, people wanted to beat me up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, let's tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not that serious. I mean, to me, it was serious because that was my life, right? But like, it's not that serious in the grand scheme of things. Now that I'm done, far removed from the game, well, not removed from the game, but that moment playing,
Sure.
I can like seriously think. Before I was like, this is the end all be all. This is my career. This is my life. Like now I'm nothing. I've been diminished to nothing. Like I had the best career ever. I did everything I ever wanted to accomplish. And instead of, thinking about that in the positive, now I just remember my career being like, oh, you messed up.
So
The biggest stage.
for that, like, and I can't. So this is where I kind of leave you as got drafted, didn't get to the next level, didn't live that to that level. So what I say is just purely from what I think it might be like. Dealing with that, you realize like I'm truly more than an athlete. Like this game's my career. On both sides though. Like when I'm doing well, there's things I need to work on. I got to keep my ego in check. I got to make sure that I'm the right person. When I'm making mistakes like this, I got to remember I'm still a good person. Like I'm still human outside of this. So it's almost one of those, like, you're forced to separate yourself from that career. And then I think maybe you probably see people a little bit more compassion in those types of situations. You're like, I know you can't say anything back to that because public facing, you can't respond. And you look at some of these people, it's happened everywhere in the game. Steven Gerrard's my favorite player. Everyone knows what happened to him. I won't even say it out of respect, but it's one of those, you see it and it's like, okay, you've had to deal with that mentally off the field. I think it makes you stronger. I think it's probably led to your success continuing now, but in that moment, it's got to be very different.
I think the hardest thing too is, especially as a female athlete, we're under a microscope even more, and people are like, sure, let me show you playing that. But it's just like that on top of that on top of that, and then it's like, I'm like, dude, Messi's missed a field, a PK. Messi's, scored an goal, whatever. Like your favorite player has done it,
Correct.
and it's okay if I had done it, and it's gonna happen to you as well as a player. Like, I'm sorry.
And if it doesn't happen to you as a player, it's happening to you at your 9 to 5. And no one is sitting there being like, "Oh, Jared today didn't like
Exactly.
whatever it is." Like no one's on your tail.
Yeah.
Whereas like for you, it's very public facing. You have to handle it in such a way that doesn't change you as a person, and realizing, okay, like that's their opinion, whatever it is.
But it did change me as a person.
Okay.
I think that it took me a long time to kind of get myself out of that like negative hole after that.
Sure.
Because sorry, I get like emotional when I talk about it because it's like
It's a
yeah.
and I can edit this out if we need to.
No.
It's
Like
I get it.
I went into a very like dark place after that because then I was like, it's at the end of my career, and I was already I come back from an ACL, which was like a whole other.
Yeah.
You know, the first thing is like everyone's like, you're not going to be back for the World Cup. They need you, like blah blah blah. So I used that. I got back. I started and played every single game. And I was like, I was feeling so good. I was like, I came back. I worked so hard. I had so many complications along the way. Almost died like twice too. And then,
stories in that, but we want.
yeah, we don't have to get. Yeah, it was blood clots and staph infections and everything. And then you make it to like everyone was playing the World Cup. This is like a pinch me moment, and then your pinch me moment turns into like
A nightmare.
a nightmare because everyone's like, you suck. And then your career is like, you're older, because I was older when I joined the national team. Now you're like 32, 30, whatever I was at that age, 34. And I'm like, okay, well, am I done? Do I get to play in the Olympics next year? Like what kind of happens? And I don't know. My knee, like everything. It felt like, you know, when you're in a negative headspace, like your whole entire body just kind of shuts down.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what happened. And then I was trying to make my way back after that. Mentally was very difficult. And then also the national team was making changes with a lot of the older players. They still owed a lot of us money. That's a whole nother conversation. And then you're going into, you know, the NWSL season where coaches are like, okay, well, you're not getting called into camp, so are you still a good player? And then you're kind of teeter-tottering with, then you go to camp because the guy said, hey, come, and then you crush it, and then he's like, oh, I didn't think you were actually going to do well, and then you did, and then you're kind of like teeter-tottering, okay, do I retire? What do I do now?
So there's this, and I know you know this as a defender, there are moments within the game for 10 minutes straight where you're just defending.
Yeah.
And
that was the
Right?
that was the
that
Olympics.
fair enough, but it's one of those where like I would always yell it as a goalkeeper, and I'm hopeful that more people do it, but it's just yelling survive it. Like sometimes like shit is gonna hit the fan, and every single place that you look, it's going to be garbage.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep riding through that, and eventually you do survive it. You do not have to defend anymore. You go score more goals, and you find kind of the happiness again. When you've been through that cycle or iteration,
Yeah.
2 times, it's a little easier to sit in that. But when it's your first time going through it, it's pretty tough for sure. And everyone in the world is coming down on you.
Yeah.
I think probably now looking back on it, you're pretty indestructible because of it at this point.
Well,
like now, no one
I
can
would
say anything to
say-
you
I would
that would
say,
mean
yeah.
anything to you. Your opinion is so your own that you are now different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And people recognize that.
I'm just, you know, it took me a long time. I'll be honest. I've been tired since 2017. It's taken me this long to really like be that way though. I'm going to be honest. It took me a very long time, you know. I was in a negative headspace. Well, I was also going through severe concussions, which is what led to the depression. So that's a whole other thing that put me into that place that I struggled with. CTE is a real thing.
Sure.
And so I now feel like I'm kind of getting my power back with all the stuff that I'm doing off the field. I'm still in the game, I've been training, like having just fun with it, like training like I was still training for the Olympics. But what I'm doing off the field is really fulfilling me and, you know, giving me a different sense of purpose. And
That surprised you, honestly, because it for me, I'm still searching for it. I think I'm finding it, Kane,
yeah,
over the next couple of years, and as things unfold for me, I'm finding it in other ways. As the athlete, as the kid that wanted to be the pro since he was 4, right? Walking away from a 1994, or watching the 1994,
Yeah.
being like, I have to play here. Finding other avenues for me, it's taken
it's hard.
a
It's not
long
easy.
time for sure. Is it surprising you that it still can, you know, lead to something that feels good? Like, for example, traveling the world and having a ball, you know, roll up to your foot
Yeah.
randomly, and you're like, oh, I could play with these people and just having
Yeah.
fun. You're finding outlets that might not be the World Cup. They might not be the Pan Am. They might not be the Olympics,
Yeah.
but handing over, you know, a training day to a kid that needs it that might go.
Yeah.
Like, gives you some type of response. So, like, is that surprising to you? Or is it like,
I think yes and no, because what you said, the thing is like, I think I always knew after, like, why I was playing the game. And it wasn't just because it made me happy, but it was also for a bigger purpose, and that was to be a mentor, a role model,
Yeah.
a leader, and leave a legacy for this next generation. And maybe I'm not like an Alex Morgan on a scale, but I'm at least like, there's so many incredible players that are doing so many incredible things that people don't even know. And I love that, like, you're highlighting this with people, because I know so many girls that are doing, women, I should say, sorry, that are doing so many incredible things. And for me, that's always what I always wanted to do. Now I'm working all over the world. I just came back from Kenya, and it's like these players are 12, 13, 14 years old playing in Champions League with women, and they don't even have sports bras, cleats, anything, and they're just happy.
It is so.
Just so freaking happy, and because they're playing the game. And like, me being there, they write to me all the time now. They're like, "When are you coming back? When are you gonna come hang out with us?" Like, that fulfills like my heart and my purpose. Like, I feel like I'm doing things, and like going to Belize, the work that we're doing in Belize and building a pro facility there. Um, and just like being able to give, these players like free sessions instead of this pay to play system, just giving them more opportunities, finding the diamonds in the rough, being a sports agent, building academies around the world, like those types of things that people don't even know that I'm doing,
Yes.
but I'm doing behind closed doors, is like what fulfills me and makes me happy. And I'm like, because my mom always says there's more than just soccer. I'm like, no, I'm only going to be known as a soccer player. But now I'm like, no, well, there's so many facets to
The definition of soccer players change.
Yeah.
Like it's, hey, I'm getting back in this way, and I'm still a player. I'm still going to TST. I'm still like making content and doing my thing, but it's a different avenue.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily like getting the responses of ESPN and everyone's watching. Oh, this is cool, but at the same time, again, I go back to world travel, and I had a ball at my feet everywhere I would go, and I'm walking down the street in Casablanca, Morocco, and I got my ball and I got my headphones in, just trying to figure out where I'm going next in life. And this 13-year-old kid just like looks at me, looks at the ball, and then looks back at me, and without thinking, there was no like semantics, concept. I think I just handed it over to him. I'm leaving the next day.
Yeah.
Handed over to him. Biggest smile you could ever see.
You changed
You walk down the street, he starts chasing me. He's like, "Hey, I've got a pen. Can you sign this?" And I'm sitting there like, I'm not a pro. Like I'm not. I mean, I got drafted. I kind of play, but like that moment in itself, sharing the game with somebody, the language barrier's there, nothing else is there, but just being able to kind of pass that along, it's the feeling, the fulfillment that you're talking about as well. Like the soccer player definition changes over time, in my opinion.
And that's why I love this game so much, the beautiful game, because it's so universal, and it speaks everyone's language. It doesn't matter what you are, what you look like, where you come from, and like that right there is like, that's such a beautiful moment. And you could have given that kid, like, he maybe never played soccer before, and now you pass him and he sees everybody playing soccer, and now he's gonna go be a baller, like,
For sure.
could have just changed that kid's life.
To an extent, and I think even like to take it from my perspective as well, it's just like I could have handed him $5, he wouldn't have been as happy.
Yeah.
Like you hand something over that means something like that.
Yep.
It changes them, but it changes us too. Like
Yeah.
I'm sitting here 2 years later talking about it. You're sitting here talking about all the things that you're doing abroad, to where that is now, I guess, our way of giving back. So I guess, what are your kind of favorites right now that you're learning a part of, and how has that gone for you so far?
I think, first and foremost is what I'm doing with the work that I'm doing with Footballer Life. Yeah. Footballerlife.com if you guys want to check it out. But, we created an app just for like players to connect all over the world, and they can like win boots and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is telling their story and what I'll be doing. We're working on a documentary right now with the Madeira Soccer Assassins, that's who we were visiting in Kenya. So if you don't know the name out, you're gonna know the name. These players, as I said, we took them. Well, we didn't take them, but there's a coach there that has taken them from the villages there, and helped them not lead a life of crime and getting taken advantage of, and putting them in a safe place where they can develop as women and as soccer players. And now they're like one of the best teams. Yeah, they're thriving. They're 12, as I said, they're 12, 13, 14 years old, that are now a part of Champions League playing against women, and they're beating everybody. And all these players are now making the Kenyan national team roster. And the thing is Africa is like they say that is the number one, budding place for footballers. And I agree. Like, I saw so much talent. These players don't care where they're playing. They were playing in mud and like this hill, and like the grass was like 10 feet tall. They were playing and they were just having the time of their life. They were ballers. And I want to tell that story. And I think it's like, it's so beautiful. It's so uplifting. And it's like the smile on their face, like just having me be there. And they want to put my face on their wall in their school because they say they look up to me. And I was like, I didn't even like do anything. But it doesn't matter. It's because, first of all, I'm there. I'm present. I show that I care. And we share the same passion, the game of football. And we do Zoom calls all the time. And they're like, Lauren, and it's just like, it's such a beautiful thing. And they handmade me all these different things. Like, they carved me like a jaguar, and they made me a hearse and like all these things. And, they have so little, but they have so much. And it's just like, and I asked them too, I was like, you guys train a lot. Like, they train a lot, and there's no recovery. There's no nothing. They don't have any of those tools. And they're like, because we love it. And all we have, because it's something that they look at. They see the game of football is like their way out, like, to really shine. And they're such ballers. So now helping them make not make national teams, but also make the pros and like kind of venture out is what I'm kind of like working on with them right now.
That's awesome.
And that fulfills me. And we're doing that like kind of like all over
Throughout like the world.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So that's my biggest like passion that I'm working on right now, and the most fulfilling. So you'll be seeing like, little trailers, and like the documentary will be coming.
That's so what's it called? Madeira Assassins?
Yeah. So yeah, we're doing the story about the Madeira soccer assassins, but I don't know what the title of it's going to be yet, but it will be on Footballer Life. And so but then I'm also working worldwide with like an agency, and we're going to be doing more academy stuff. So we see what they're doing with San Diego and like the academy system, and just kind of trying to change that landscape of, giving free services to these players and kids. And
for sure. Well, there's you've seen it.
Yeah.
In all stages of the game. How many players make it that, in your opinion, and I'm not throwing out shots here,
Yeah.
aren't the best player or should not have made it? Not necessarily should not have made it, but made it when you're like, gosh, like I know so many other people that in my opinion deserve it, like handedly. Like, does that rub you the wrong way a little bit? You see that consistently, and I think that's starting to change a little bit the more we get into programs like this, where it's like, hey, this person actually is really good. Doesn't matter where they came from, and you're identifying them a little earlier.
Exactly.
I think we need to do that more in this country too. Like talking about just random camps in LA. Yeah. How many players here are probably pretty freaking good?
I know. That's my goal, is to kind of find those diamonds in the rough, especially on the women's side. Like, we're doing it on both sides, but for me, my passion is really giving more opportunities to these female players.
Gotcha.
So it's going to be exciting. New leagues are emerging. More teams are coming to the leagues, which is a beautiful thing. So, and then, with the immersion of the Canadian Northern Super League, which is a huge thing for Canada soccer.
Okay.
I mean, there's so many ballers in Canada, so I think it's going to change that landscape. And, you're already seeing more players getting called into camp, that deserve the opportunity. So I'm excited to watch them in these friendlies upcoming. And then I have a few other passion projects. Like, I'm writing a book right now.
That's awesome.
Because there's a lot of things that I didn't even touch in here that happened that I want to share. And then also working on my own business. I just started my own business, so you'll be seeing a lot of stuff coming up for the World Cup. That's the clothing.
That's awesome. So what's the book called? And then
we don't have a name.
Not yet. Okay.
We don't have a name for the book yet. Yeah. We just have a lot of pages. Every morning I sit and I write.
I think that's healthy though. I think like just identifying that, almost going through the story. Is it autobiography? Like,
yeah.
Like both storyline. That's cool.
Like a memoir, yeah. And so I think it's almost like therapy to me, because everyone says, "Oh, you should go get therapy." I've like never done it, so but this is like therapy to me.
Yeah.
Just kind of like really sitting there and being like, "Whoa, your life was crazy."
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So you said there's a couple things in there that you touch on that we didn't get to here.
Yeah.
Can you give me one from that you want to touch on, or one part of your story that I didn't get to today? Like, what's something about Lauren Sesselmann that you think everyone needs to know that they haven't found out yet? That's other than she can dance. I know.
Yeah, I can dance, and I love to sing. You might be seeing a music video coming out next year. What is something? Well, I guess we kind of touch more like too in the book about like you know, going through injuries and stuff like that. We didn't really talk about that, and then also the concussions and the, some of them are negative stuff.
We don't have to go.
Yeah, because I
Anyway, if you want to say it for that, I get it. But just overall injuries, your headspace.
the headspace, like mentally, and then also like there's a lot of things that happen that came out in our league with like the sexual assault and all
Sure.
that stuff that
I guess to boil it down to one question without you having to get too deep on it, how as a player are you able to ignore all of that? Because and as more things come on, your high school, you're just really playing for pride and make friends. College, now you're playing for your school. Pros, you're playing for your country. All of this is now like, how do you put all that aside and just play for that? Does that make sense?
yeah, it's a really good question. I think that I've just been conditioned as a player to separate when I went through like a lot of the mental training that I did was to separate the outside noise from what happens on the pitch.
I love that.
And everyone has their own system that they implement to help them do that. And whether it be like visualization, writing in a journal, listening to a certain song. For me, don't laugh, but it was Cool Runnings. Have you ever seen the movie Cool Runnings?
I have.
I was
The Jamaican bobsled team.
Yeah. Yeah, Desi and I would always sit in front of the mirror before we would step onto the pitch and be like, I am pride, I am power. You know, everyone had a little something that they did. We each had a safe word
Okay.
on the field too. So anytime we were, you know, going through it on the field and I saw her head hang low, or she saw mine. Mine was chocolate cake because I love chocolate. So if they saw me, if I missed a play or whatever, and I did get back into it, be like, Sesselmann, chocolate cake. You know, and hers was Jamaica. Like, you know, like everyone around me, I knew their safe word. So we made it feel like a team.
It's one quick hitter to get you back.
Yeah, one quick hitter. And so I think you have to do, and I said this yesterday to a player. She was like, could not get the drill yesterday that we were doing.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know how you guys do it. Like, I'm just so hard on myself. Like, I'm not getting it. And I'm like, and I go to her and I said to her, and I was just like, you know what? I was like, when you get to the level that you want to get to, regardless of whatever level it is, when you're on that field, it's you against everybody, right? And you have to put yourself in the position to believe in yourself no matter what. Whatever it takes for you to get into that headspace to do. So find something that you like or find something that makes you happy. And when you mess up or you can't get a drill, it doesn't matter. You have to just like switch your mindset, like your mindset, and it has to be like, I didn't get it, but give me another rep.
Yep.
You know? And she's like, because she was just like, I want to quit. I want to be done. I was like, no, step back onto that pitch. And it's who you surround yourself with. And let's talk about to like surrounding yourself with like the right friend groups and stuff that because a lot of people are like, my friend's telling me I should. That's another thing too, is surrounding yourself with people who are going to uplift you and really like push you to be the best version of yourself.
110%. And they're on the same path.
Yeah, they're on the same path. And mentally, you guys are good for each other.
I could not agree more.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the time today.
Yeah. We could talk all day. I know. Sunday. Have a 4-hour podcast. Sorry.
We might. The more time is better. But no, thank you so much for taking us through because I do think it's important to identify step by step how you got there.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be the same exactly for the next generation, but it's a very good blueprint. And these people, the women and these men that need to kind of continue to grow, need more people like you out there kind of spreading this message. So appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me. I mean, there's so much we didn't even touch on too. It's like building the brand and stuff, all that stuff. So that's the next podcast. But thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.